Once upon a time, there was a mountainous village in a remote location that was war-torn and famine-ridden. Two weary travelers, after a long day of walking, came across this village. They were hungry and tired and exhausted from their travels. The one traveler looked to his companion and said, "Surely, these villagers will share their food with us." So they knocked on the first door they could find, a small home along the path. An old lady opened the door. The hungry traveler said, "Good day, ma'am. Please, could you spare us some food? We are hungry and tired." The old lady immediately said, "I have no food here. Not enough for even myself to eat. Nothing in the home. Nothing in the garden. Go away." And she closed the door. The travelers were dejected, but kept moving on to the next home. Door by door they knocked on, asking for some food, and door by door they kept getting the same result. Each villager said that they had no food to share with them. They themselves were hungry. Finally, they reached the last home in the village, and they knocked on the door, and a young boy opened the door. The traveler said, "Young boy, could you please give me a pot? I would like to make my famous stone soup." The young boy was skeptical of the travelers, but also very curious. What exactly was stone soup? He had never heard of that before, but he decided he had nothing to lose. After all, what could the travelers do with a pot? So the young boy ran into his kitchen and fetched the travelers a pot. "Thank you, lad," the traveler said. "I will now go make my famous stone soup. There will be more than enough for everyone later on. You are invited, and so are all your family and friends." So off the travelers went, and they gathered some water by the river and poured it into the large stone pot. The travelers gathered some tree branches and slowly started a fire in the town square at the center of the village. Then they found a large stone, and they placed it in the water. Soon the water was bubbling in the pot. One by one, villagers started coming out of their homes. They were curious of what these travelers were doing. The traveler noticed villagers were surrounding them and their soup, and declared, "We are making our famous stone soup. Don't be shy. You are all welcome to have some afterwards." One villager looked at the traveler. "Stone soup, eh? It looks like it will be delicious." The traveler replied to the villager, "Yes, it will be delicious, but the stone soup will be even more delicious if you can spare a few onions." The one villager happily declared, "Yes, of course, I can spare a few onions." The villager went back to his garden and gathered a few yellow onions, and they placed it into the soup along with the large gray stone. The soup's aroma suddenly started smelling better and better, and the soup continued to bubble, and more villagers started gathering. The traveler shouted to the villagers, "Does anyone have a few spare carrots? The stone soup will taste even more delicious if anyone has a few to spare." "I can spare a few," one villager shouted back. And into the soup went some long carrots along with the yellow onions and the large gray stone. "The stone soup is starting to smell delicious," another villager shouted. "It smells good now, but if anyone has a few beef bones, it will taste even more delicious," the traveler boomed back. An excited villager shot up his hand and said, Me, yes, I will go get some beef bones." And off he went into his pantry to get some beef bones. And the beef bones went into the soup with the long carrots and the yellow onions and the large gray stone. The villagers could not hide their delight. The soup's aroma was smelling delicious, and they couldn't wait to try it. The traveler declared, "Can anyone spare some salt and pepper?" Another excited villager shot up his hand, and off he went to get some salt and pepper. And into the soup went the salt and pepper, along with the beef bones, the long carrots, the yellow onions, and the large gray stone. The soup bubbled and bubbled and started smelling more and more delicious. The villagers were all so excited to try the stone soup. It smelled so good. The traveler declared, "The soup is almost ready, but it's a little thin. The last ingredient. Can anyone spare a little butter and barley?" The villagers murmured excitedly amongst themselves. "Yes, I can," shouted one villager, and off he went to get some butter and barley from his home. And into the soup went the butter and barley, along with the salt and pepper, the beef bones, the long carrots, the yellow onions, and the large gray stone. The soup bubbled and bubbled and started smelling even more and more delicious. And the traveler declared, "The soup is ready. Let's eat and share this meal together." The traveler took out the large gray stone from the pot and declared, "Gather your bowls and spoons and let's enjoy the famous stone soup." And the soup was indeed delicious. The aroma was wonderful, and there was more than enough for everyone. The travelers and the villagers all filled their tummies full and told stories under the stars until the sky went dark. The stone soup gathered the whole community of villagers together for the first time in a long time. But finally, a little past midnight, it was time for the travelers to go. The travelers thanked the villagers and said, "Thank you all for this wonderful soup and the wonderful stories. But now we must be on our way." And off the travelers went. What do you think the moral of this story is? Individually, we may be able to accomplish very little, but collectively, we can accomplish a lot together. Never underestimate the power of community and sharing. Sharing can bring a community together and bring happiness to everyone contributing. The travelers and villagers would all go hungry alone if they chose not to share. But with the power of sharing and small contributions from everyone, the whole village was fed, and the whole village shared the joy of eating a delicious meal together. Just as the stone soup would be tasteless without the small contributions of each villager, our lives would be empty without sharing the joys and sorrows of life with each other. Next time, you feel alone or someone you know is alone, think about how sharing with them can enrich your life and their life. I hope you enjoyed this video. Our channel focuses on inspirational and motivational stories to help you find your daily 1% improvement. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell notification on the right. So, how are you going to share with others in your life? Drop a comment below and we'll discuss. Until then, see you next time.